The story begins in Vinland, a huge city filled with anthropomorphic animals living their everyday lives. Here, a young goat named Will Harris has always had one major dream, which is watching a live roarball match featuring his biggest inspiration. Keeping her promise, Will's mother Louise finally takes him to see a game, and Will can barely contain his excitement as they head to the stadium. His favorite team, the violent Thorns, is about to play, and for Will this feels like the greatest moment of his life. But everything becomes even more unreal when the crowd erupts, and the star player steps out, Jet Fillmore, a legendary Black Panther and the biggest name in the sport. The moment Will sees him, he's completely mesmerized. And with pure confidence, he turns to Louise and says that one day he's going to be just like Jet. Fast forward 10 years later, and Will's life looks nothing like the dream he had as a kid. Louise is now gone, and Will has been living on his own ever since, barely managing to survive. He's constantly behind on rent, and his strict landlord Frank is already breathing down his neck for the money. Will's only real support system is his two best friends. To make ends meet, Will works as a busboy at the same diner where his mother once worked, and the manager, Carol, looks out for him like family. After finishing his shift, Will steps outside and notices his favorite roarball team playing nearby. And right there, he shows a glimpse of what he can really do before quietly hopping on a train back home like nothing happened. When he arrives, his friends break the bad news. The violent Thorns are doing terribly this season, and rival fans have been clowning them online, creating fresh memes that are turning the team into a complete joke. Hearing all that, Will loses interest in watching the game. So later that day, instead of sitting around supporting a losing team, Will hits the court and starts pushing himself hard. He trains for hours, imagining himself as a future superstar, picturing crowds cheering his name and seeing himself on the big stage. But just when he finally takes a break to rest, another group of higher animals suddenly shows up, stepping onto the court with bad intentions, ready to ruin his moment and bully him out of the place. And that alone was enough to make him leave. The scene then shifted to Jet Fillmore making her way toward the dressing room right after the game. On the way, she stops briefly to sign a few autographs for excited fans before continuing down the hallway. Not long after, Jet meets up with her manager, Florence Flo Everson, a tough boar who's casually relaxing in the middle of a bath, like nothing in the world could stress her out. However, Jet isn't having it, as the violent Thorns have been stuck in a brutal losing streak, and it's starting to get to her. What frustrates Jet the most is that she knows she hasn't been performing like the unstoppable star she used to be. Clearly fed up, she vents to Flo, telling her the team needs to make a serious change if they want any chance of getting back on top. Flo listens quietly, then responds with a smirk, saying she might actually have an idea. Back at home, Will doesn't even get a chance to breathe before his landlord Frank shows up again, angry and impatient, still demanding his rent money. Frank makes it clear that he's done waiting and gives Will just a day to come up with the cash, or his apartment will be rented out to someone else. With his back against the wall, Will tries to lie down and get some rest, but the pressure keeps eating at him, and eventually he realizes he has no choice but to start selling what little he has left. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit like so we can keep uploading all the latest movies as soon as they're released. So he takes out an old pair of sneakers that once belonged to Jet Fillmore, one of his most treasured possessions, and goes to a shady sneaker selling vulture known as Sneaky. But instead of getting what they're truly worth, Will is hit with disappointment again, because Sneaky only offers him $250. Fortunately, Will, Hannah, and Darryl hear about an event going on downtown, where a famous roarball player named Main Attraction, a cocky horse with a massive ego who plays for the lava court Magmas, has been publicly challenging people to games, basically humiliating anyone who dares to step up. Curious and tempted by the opportunity, the trio heads out. So when Main asks who is next, and out of nowhere, Will walks onto the court and calls him out, even putting his own money on the line to prove he's serious. Main can't believe it. He bursts out laughing, mocking Will for being small and on top of that a goat. According to Main, smalls can't ball, and Will is clearly about to get embarrassed. But Will doesn't flinch. Instead, he shocks everyone by driving straight in and dunking on Main twice back to back, sending the entire crowd into chaos. As everyone goes live online, Main's smile disappears. He takes off his chains, locks in, and stops playing around. And just like that, he completely flips the game, dominating Will with ease. In the end, Main humiliates him, takes his money, and leaves him looking foolish in front of everyone. and with no rent money left, Will gets home only to find out that his room has been rented out. And with nowhere to go, Will has no choice but to spend the night crashing at Hannah and Daryl's place. They showed Will the edit they made out of the gameplay, but Will isn't having it because at the end of the day, he lost man. Although this doesn't stop his friends from posting the video online. The next day, Will heads to the diner still drained from everything that happened. He keeps staring at his phone only to realize it's completely dead. As he walks through the streets, he notices something strange. People are being unusually friendly to him. When he finally gets to the diner, he's immediately hit with another surprise. Everyone inside looks shocked because standing there waiting is none other than Florence Flo Everson. Will quickly approaches her confused and asks what she's doing there. That's when Flo drops the bombshell despite losing to Maine. The video of Will's performance has blown up online, pulling in around 24 million views. And the crazy part is people aren't laughing at him, as they're hyped because of the heart he showed, the confidence he played with, and especially the moment where he nearly broke Maine's ankles on the court. Flo then tells him what she wants him for the violent Thorns. She offers him a spot on the team for the second half of the season, hoping he can help turn things around and finally get them a win. And without wasting a second, he eagerly signs on, realizing that after all these years, his childhood dream might finally be coming true. Later that day, Jet learns from the news that her team just signed a new player. So immediately she believes it would be some bigger creatures. But unfortunately for her, it was revealed that Will is the new player, and she is enraged to find out that a small is on the team. Jet drives angrily to Flo's office to vent her frustration about the new signing. Unbeknownst to her, Will is just sitting right there. Will gets disappointed after finding out that his idol doesn't even want him around. Not long after, he ends up beside Jet at a press conference where she takes subtle shots at him in front of the reporters, pretending she's just standing up for him. Later, Will meets the team's coach, Dennis Cooper, a proboscis monkey, before finally being introduced to the rest of the squad. In the opening games of the season, Jet makes sure Will stays glued to the bench. And because of that, the Thorns keep racking up loss after loss. Things get even worse when Maine drops a disrespectful diss track aimed at Will. It blows up online, turning him into a laughingstock overnight. Desperate to prove himself, Will challenges Jet to a one-on-one matchup, hoping if he can beat her, she'll finally let him play. But Jet shuts him down completely and defeats him with ease. However, they travel for another game, and after a very long trip, they arrived and prepared for the game. Sadly, during this intense game, Jet picks up a technical foul and is forced to sit out for a while. With no other choice, the team puts Will in. And surprisingly, Will doesn't just survive, he thrives. Using his small size and quick movement, he catches the opponents off guard, creates openings, and helps the Thorns finally secure their first win of the season. The rest of the players are scared to speak up to Jet until Will reminds her that they won their last game when she wasn't even there. Later, the Thorns are set to do a promotional video as a team. And while they were at it, and when Jet is meant to pass the torch to Will as the next GOAT, she refuses to do so. She wants to be the GOAT, forever saying her body is rejecting the word because she is still playing. Sadly, things turn bad when Will reminded her that they won the game without her. Will later pulls Jet aside for a quiet conversation. During this, he helps her get away from a swarm of pushy fans and reporters. During their talk, she opens up about the pressure she's been carrying, explaining that her drive to win intensified after one of her final matches, nicknamed the furball game. A moment she still believes she mishandled. Will then takes Jet to a local diner filled with Thorns memorabilia, using the place to show her what the team means to the town. He shares a personal story about how the community supported him in the aftermath of Louise's passing, emphasizing the deep bond between the people and the sport. Later that evening, Jet goes on a live stream with Maine, who is trash talking the Thorns. Jet trashes Maine and also has something good to say about each individual teammate, which lifts their spirits. She then makes it clear that Dennis has her full trust, officially handing him complete authority as coach so the team can reset, refocus, and rebuild their chemistry from the ground up. Dennis pushes the players to lean into what makes each of them different instead of trying to fit a single mold. He advises Lenny to turn his height into a real advantage on the field, urges Archie to channel the same protective energy he has for his daughters when defending against opponents, reminds Olivia to stop getting distracted by her phone and social media so she can stay present in the game, and encourages Moto to embrace his unpredictable nature, using it to catch rivals off guard. As they begin applying this mindset, the Thorns start stacking up wins. The momentum not only improves their performance, but also strengthens their bond, helping them connect as a more unified and confident team. Just before the semifinal, Will tails Jet to a private meeting with Flo and accidentally learns a shocking secret. Flo has already arranged to relocate the Thorns to another city with plans to replace the entire roster. Will urges Jet to warn the team before the game, but she refuses, worried the news will destroy their concentration. During the match, the Thorns struggle against a formidable squad of Arctic players on an ice court, and their performance quickly starts to unravel. Seeing the team slipping, Will finally reveals Flo's deal mid-game. The truth rattles everyone, but Jet responds by taking control of the match, aggressively pushing forward and racking up points. In a controversial moment, she even snatches a scoring opportunity from Will just to secure the final winning play herself. Instead of feeling victorious, the team is left bitter and disillusioned, and the tension causes them to fracture, walking away upset and divided. Will heads back home ready to walk away from everything and call it quits. However, before he can fully give up, Jet shows up at his court to make things right. She apologizes for her behavior, confessing that she let her fear of losing her reputation as the greatest player consume her. She admits she became fixated on winning the Claw, the ultimate Roarball trophy, and allowed that obsession to cloud her judgment. After clearing the air, the two put their differences aside and set out to reunite, the rest of the team determined to bring everyone back together for one last game. Days after, the Thorns take on the Magmas on their home court in a tense showdown. Midway through the match, Jet jumps in to shield Will from a hard hit by Maine, but the move leaves her with an injured leg. Despite her injury, Jet insists she's not done yet, convincing the rest of the team that she can push through and continue playing. Now, with only 20 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, Dennis calls the team together and lays out a precise final play, carefully explaining each movement and assignment as they prepare to execute one last push before the buzzer. The Thorns put their best work in, and after a very long, extended game battle, the teamwork led together. And with everyone's help, including Jet, who is clearly injured, Will manages to win it at the final second, thereby giving the Thorns the opportunity to claim their victory. The entire town of Vinland erupts in celebration, rallying behind Will and the Thorns as hometown heroes. Will delivers an emotional speech after Jet finally gives him the recognition he's always chased, openly calling him the greatest. The moment feels like a farewell as everyone begins to come to terms with the idea that the Thorns may be leaving Vinland for good. Just as the mood turns bittersweet, Moto steps forward with a surprise announcement. He has secured ownership rights to the team and is taking over as manager. His move ensures that the Thorns aren't going anywhere and will remain right where they belong in Vinland. Everyone celebrates this victory as they continue to cheer. The movie then came to an end,